Dave Nelson was one of the millions of American workers who turned out the production that helped win the war. With the war over, Nelson expected a lot of things for himself and his family. Not some of the things that happened. In certain countries, people were saying fascists had taken over America, that this nation was built on social injustice, class against class, creed against creed, race against race. Yes, these things happen. But Nelson knew they didn't represent American democracy, not by a long shot. But this he did know. With the end of the war, labor management cooperation dissolved into a wave of strikes that swept America. The cost of living went up by leaps and bounds. Like millions of others, Dave Nelson was troubled.
Hiya, Charlie.
Hi, Dave.
Hey, how much I owe you?
75 to 85 cents.
85 cents. Better save your pennies, buddy. We're headed for a crash that's going to tear this country wide apart.
Ha! Communist.
That was something else Nelson couldn't dope out. If you didn't like someone, his politics, his race, the color of his skin, if he spoke out too loudly for the common good, you called him a communist. Name-calling that helped only to throw up a smokescreen behind which the real communist could operate in America. But who is a communist? What is he after? What makes him tick? These are a communist's Bible, the writings of Karl Marx and Lenin. Doctrine upon which communist ideology is founded. The iron discipline, the tight-knit organization of the American Communist Party stems from men like Ed Rheme, Communist Party organizer. the communist mind, our economic system is as dead as yesterday's sunset. Here is the way the communist looks at history. The worker against his enemy. Oppressor and oppressed. Communists have a timetable for the destruction of our democracy. The hour is long overdue. So the American communist's job is to lend history a hand. Then a dictatorship with the state supreme. Followed in ages to come by a classless society where property rights belong only in a museum. 1917, to the communist, the birth of enlightened time. What had been, till then, a dream, suddenly seemed on its way to reality in a nation that covered 1/6 of the earth. The other imperialist nations were next in line. So the communist has one loyalty, one drive, one obsession. But let's get a better look at the American communist. Let's go down the years with the official organ of his party.
Roosevelt and Mussolini are blood brothers. Roosevelt and his New Deal represent the Wall Street bankers, finance capital.
1934, the communists welcome fascism because
fascism hastens the revolutionizing of the workers, destroys their democratic illusions, and thereby prepares the masses for the revolutionary struggle for power.
But Nazi Germany developed almost overnight into a first-class military power. Now the communists sought a united front against the Nazi threat to Russia. With his quarantine speech against aggressor nations, Roosevelt, formerly the tool of Wall Street, now qualified for the Communist Hall of Fame. Heroes of American history were dug out of the mothballs.
Communism is 20th century Americanism.
The communists kept storming for collective security against Nazi Germany. Then came the Nazi-Soviet non-aggression pact. It took the world by surprise, including the American communist. With time, he recovered. Roosevelt became a warmonger.
Drop the economic boycott against Germany. Keep America out of imperialist war.
To block the Allied war effort, the communists fomented strikes in America, demonstrations, on selective service,
Vote no.
on national defense,
Vote no.
until that momentous day in June 1941. Caught short, the American communist took another deep breath, did another right-about face. The war was no longer imperialist, but anti-fascist. American labor was beseeched to keep Lend-Lease rolling off the production lines. Suddenly, the American communists sang a strange tune.
It is my considered judgment that the American people are so ill-prepared subjectively for any deep-going change in the direction of socialism that post-war plans with such an aim would not unite the nation, but would further divide it.
For this heresy, with the war about over, Earl Browder got the sack. Today, well, the party is back at its old corner, selling its old wares, the revolutionary class struggle. And so it was a case of against Roosevelt, for against selective service. For fascism, against. For the class struggle, against. For. Vote no. Vote yes. Yes. No. No. Yes. For all these twists and turns, what was the solution? On a new job, the communist is usually a hard worker. He catches on rapidly. He's quick to size up conditions within a plant. He works hard to gain the friendship of someone he can use. Someone like Dave Nelson. It wasn't long before Nelson's admiration for Ed Rheme made him a target for communist ideology.
Oh, come on, Reeves. Gunther's not such a bad guy.
You're groping in the dark, Dave. Your employer is your class enemy. You've got to learn to hate him.
Ideas like that, and others, found root in Nelson's mind.
Don't be blind, Dave. Capitalism is on the way out. See what's happening in the rest of the world.
But things didn't jibe for Nelson, not altogether. For one thing, there was his home. Nelson didn't know that the living standard of our people is more than 50% higher than any other nation in the world. But the newsreel at the neighborhood movie gave him a pretty good idea of the way people lived in the countries Rheme talked about. How free was labor? How free was man?
Get wise, Dave. You're no dumb kid. A few greedy bankers in Wall Street run this country. Snap their fingers and the government jumps. They own American business. To them, you're just another number on the labor market. It's their nature to keep expanding, so they go out and collar world markets. To keep their system alive, they start wars. For what? American democracy? Nuts. American big business.
The distorted picture Rheme painted had its fascination.
Take any corporation, Dave. You'll find they own it lock, stock, and barrel.
Well, how true is Rheme's story? Who does own American industry? To buy the tools that provide one factory worker with a job takes over $7,000. to create the tool power for millions of workers in American industry took over $140 billion invested in 468,000 corporations. That's a lot of money, about $1,000 for every man, woman, and child in America. Where did it come from? More than half from individual investors, people from all walks of life, businessmen, white-collar and industrial workers, people in retirement. In all, some 20 million Americans who've risked their savings to invest in our business system. The rest from banks with their 50 million savings depositors, insurance companies with their 70 million life insurance policy holders, trusts, institutions such as universities, hospitals, and charities.
Every year, Dave, their profits get fatter and fatter.
Well, the United States government has the facts. How much profit does American industry make? In 1929, American corporations sold $138 billion worth of goods. Its profit was about $8 billion. In 1946, over $250 billion of goods were sold. Profit, $12 billion. And over the years, as sales increased, profit, taking in bad times as well as good, has maintained about the same ratio, an average of 3.5% profit on corporate sales.
Wage labor is slave labor. The biggest hunk of every dollar the company takes in goes to profit.
Here is the sales dollar of a typical American corporation. How is it spent? 45 cents goes to buy materials and supplies. 43.5 cents pays wages and salaries to its employees. 4 cents to taxes. 3.5 cents to selling and administrative expenses, as well as to wear and tear on tools. Profit, 4 cents, part of which is kept for company and job security. The rest paid out in dividends to the company's stockholders.
Labor is the only source of production, Dave. Every dollar grabbed by the profit system is a dollar out of the worker's pocket.
Dividends are payment and incentive for people to risk their savings to invest in the tool power that makes jobs, pays wages. In 1909, wages to American labor went from $17 billion all the way to $87 billion in 1946. Over the same period, dividends ranged from $2 billion to $5 billion. In 1946, for every dollar paid out in dividends by American industry, $17 was paid out in wages. No, not as sensational a picture of American industry as Rheme's painted, but a whole lot closer to the truth. An industrial system with labor and management working together, using the savings of millions of people to serve their customer, the American public. An industrial system which, in the last 40 years, spurred on by new investment, by technological progress, by organized labor's efforts on behalf of the working man, has brought about these changes. In 1909, the American factory worker was producing 1 unit of goods per man-hour. In 1946, he was producing almost 3. With this result, in 1909, he worked 54 hours a week. Today, his work week has been cut to about 40 hours. Over this same period, his real earnings, what he can buy with his wages, have steadily increased with his productivity, from 39 cents an hour in 1909 to $1.05 in 1946. That is the American economic system. Private business, labor unions, farms, a system in which all of our people have a stake as producers, investors, consumers, over the years achieving greater economic and social progress and the highest standard of living in the world. One Sunday morning, Dave Nelson took a drive. He passed his brother's hardware store, stopped for gas at the new station an ex-GI had opened. Rheme hadn't told him that under our system of private enterprise, 1 out of every 5 Americans in the city and on the farm is his own boss. But all around he saw new stores springing up, part of America's 3.5 million businesses. Everywhere the earth was being upturned. The new school, the medical center, the community playground. America could stand improvement, but America wasn't standing still. Nelson didn't know why, but he drove out to the plant. Suddenly, he remembered how it was during the war. Everyone pulling together in the face of a common threat, getting along, working all hours, all shifts. The feeling of being a partner, of belonging, of sharing in a great venture. The country was single-hearted, single-minded, single-willed. That was American democracy in action. Labor and management working together, within 2 years outstripping the production of the rest of the world combined. But things had changed since the war. In many parts of the country, labor-management relations were charged with distrust. In Nelson's plant, the bosses and the union couldn't get together on wages. The right to strike will always exist in a free society. For Nelson and millions like him, the strike is labor's weapon of last resort to gain its objectives. A fair wage and better conditions of work. But for Rheme, a strike has a different meaning. His objective is always the destruction of our economic system.
Dave Nelson's popularity with the boys is even greater than we thought. He's just taken over the strike committee. This is our chance to get a strong foothold in the union. Now, Nelson will never make a real comrade, but he'll listen to me. He'll serve us well. Thanks.
Very few strikes in American industry are communist-inspired. But a communist will always seek opportunities to prolong a strike. In labor management negotiations, his role is to keep both parties at odds, to foment bitterness and discord in every phase of our national life. Bitterness that distorts management's view of labor. Labor's of management. The communist takes his guidance from Lenin.
We must be able to agree to any sacrifice, and even if need be, to resort to all sorts of stratagems, artifices, illegal methods, to evasions and subterfuges, so as to get into the trade unions, to remain in them, and to carry on communist work in them at all costs.
The communist will take all those hard committee jobs others slough off. He'll work day and night. Before a union meeting, he'll caucus. He knows every parliamentary trick in the bag. He and his supporters will vote as a unit. He knows how to break up a meeting, delay a vote until early morning, then take possession of the floor, twist facts to suit his own purposes, so that even where his numbers are small, he may get his way.
Hiya, Rheme.
Hello, Dave. Pull up a chair.
The company's come halfway. The boys are ready to celebrate.
What are you anyway, Dave? This is no kid's game.
This thing can't go on forever. The boys are getting hungry.
So what? Let them starve. Then they'll find out what kind of a country we're living in. I tell you, Dave, we've got to hold fast. Don't give an inch.
There's been a lot of talk about me down at the hall. I don't like it. It's time to call it quits.
Wait a minute. You know, Nelson, things could be a lot tougher for you.
I'd like to know how.
That's easy, kid. They're saying you're a red.
You never wanted this strike to end, did you?
Now, look, Dave.
Brother, I'm just getting wise to you. What's your game, Rheme? What are you after?
Now, wait a minute, Nelson.
You weren't interested in the pay raise. You weren't interested in the guys out there plugging along on the picket line day after day, rain or shine, eating their hearts out. If their kids don't eat, if their wives go nuts with worry, so what? They're just people. They don't count. You've got bigger fish to fry. What is it, Rheme? What is it?
Nelson, I'm telling you.
And your sales talk about helping the little guy. Sure, there's lots of things wrong with this country. And I'm the guy who knows them. But I know this, too, that you aren't the one to fix them. Not your kind. Listen, you damn fool. You've played me for a sucker long enough, Rheme. But here's one sucker getting off the line. Now go throw your hook somewhere else.
Dave Nelson learned what a good many unions already know and are effectively fighting. That the real interest of men like Rheme's is not in the victory of a strike, not in the welfare of the men, but in creating the most bitter conflict, the worst frustration between American labor and management. Today, there are over 100,000 Ed Rhemes in America on a one-way track. For them, the breakdown of our economic system cannot come too soon. America learned its lesson in the 30s, when our depression brought loss of hope to millions of our people, loss of faith in democracy. Today, millions of people all over the world, hungry and desperate, are soft touches for totalitarianism. History is at a turning point. America has a mission. A mission of expanding our own strength and prosperity. American management and American labor must make our economic system work. To meet the needs of all of our people, we must turn out more goods, more and more services. By 1950, $200 billion worth. By 1960, $218 billion. These goals are well within our reach. Expanding productivity can bring to America an even higher standard of living. But America has a further mission: to help the world help itself. We must fight cold and hunger overseas. We must help in world reconstruction. But above all, America's mission is to pioneer the way for peace. These missions will be accomplished by the American people, working through our democratic processes based on competition. Competition among businesses, competition in goods, competition in ideas. For America, in essence, is a great debate. With individual rights respected individual freedoms protected. The law that guarantees this is the most revolutionary doctrine in all the world's history. It has caught the imagination of enslaved peoples everywhere because that law guarantees the right to worship freely, the right to speak freely, the right to print openly, the right to trial by jury, the right to choose our own government. Democracy gives more to the individual, but demands more from him. But in a dictatorship, only one man must think. One man decides. In a democracy, progress comes because enough people want it to come and act to make it come.
Come on, Nancy. Put your book away and start your breakfast.
I'm reading to Daddy. So, Foxy Loxy said, where are you going, Chicken Lickin' and Ducky Wucky and Goosey Lucy and Turkey Lurking?
Stop it! Stop it!
Now, here, what's the matter with you? She wants to play. She doesn't see you all day, and at night you're so
Can I just have some coffee?
Why, you haven't touched your ham and eggs.
I can't eat it.
You can't eat it? Well, that's the same ham we had last night, silly. You said it was delicious.
You had 3 helpings.
Look, can I just have some coffee, please?
Listen, Jerry, I'm getting tired of all this. You're acting like a bear all the time. I don't like it, and it isn't good for Nancy. You can't have everything just the way you want it. Children simply need a little attention now and then. So do I, for that matter.
I'm tired. How can I get any sleep with this yapping for water every night?
She doesn't cry that much. You've been jittery for weeks. You're not eating right. There must be something wrong with you, Jerry. Your stomach, maybe.
Oh, nuts.
I think it'd be a good idea for you to stop and see Dr. Bryant on your way home from the plant.
I haven't had a sick day in my life.
Oh, Jerry, just you do as I say and stop being such a baby.
It's crazy. I'm not sick, and I'm not going to see any doctor.
I still say it'd be a good idea for you to see Dr. Bryant.
And I still say it's crazy. I'm not sick, and I'm not going to see any doctor.
Okay, Doc, what's the bad news? It's nothing physical, Jerry, nothing I can see.
Sure, that's what I told Jean. The thing is, I do burp like a pig all the time. I get gas pains.
Well, it will become something physical, and soon, if you go on like this. Not eating regularly, not sleeping.
But hell, half the time I can't eat. I can't sleep. That's the trouble. I haven't had a decent night's sleep in weeks.
It happens to everybody now and then. Got a minute?
Yeah, sure.
Sit down, Jerry. Cigarette?
No, thanks. I got some.
Yeah, try one of these.
Gee, I must have smoked up that last pack.
How many packs a day do you smoke?
Too many. 3, 4, I guess.
How are things at home? Jean, Nancy all right?
Oh, sure, they're fine. The kid kind of, you know, gets on your nerves when you come home from the plant. I guess you can't help it.
How about the plant? How's everything going down there? Like your new work?
Sorry, Doc. The old stomach again.
How about the plant, Jerry?
Oh, what the hell? You don't want to hear about the plant.
Go ahead, Jerry.
Doc, I know my work backwards and forwards. I've been doing it for 15 years. I've been with this plant for 5, almost 6 years now. I pushed hard. I got a pretty big job now. Worked up to be part of management, like they say. All right, so I'm part of management. I'm supposed to get the work out, right? That means I give the orders in my shop, right? But does the front office back me up? Hell no. The kind of guys I got under me, I might as well be back on my old job. How they do the work, yeah. But it's grousing and griping and arguments the whole day like I was a Simon Legree or something. They make me sick. It isn't as if I was bawling them out all the time or anything. I don't keep yelling at them. I give them breaks. I try to get along with everybody. Now, they tell us at the front office about having consideration for other people. Well, what the hell? Naturally, you got to be decent and all. I try to be polite and nice whenever I can, but it just backfires. It's a headache. I wish I was back where I...
What do you mean, it backfires, Jerry?
Well, like the other day. I'm sitting in my office, trying to straighten out a mess from the week before. Woody Myers, one of my foremen, comes in. He's got a beef. I figure it's best to listen to him. He's got something on his mind, so I stop my work. I tell him to sit down.
Jerry, we got to do something about that parking lot deal. The boys are pretty sore about it, and I can't blame them. With the rain all week, you know what a mess it was out there. Yesterday, some of the guys had to take off their shoes and socks to get across to our end of the shop. Now, I know they haven't paved the whole lot yet, and somebody's got to park in the mud, but I got an idea. You see, we get assigned to the muddy section at the north side and have to walk clear across to get in. Now, the accounting guys park in the sheds near us and have to go through the building and all the way around to the office. Now, I was thinking, if you could say a word up front about just switching the two, the accounting guys don't have to go in the mud. They go right in their place, and we go right into the machine shop. It's simple. All we do is switch.
Well, what do you want to do about it, Woody? You got any ideas?
Have I got any ideas?
Now, how about a guy like that? I interrupt my work, I ask him to sit down, I don't argue with him. No trouble. And he flies off the handle. Take last Wednesday. A couple of jobs came in, a little different from the regular stuff. I thought, all right, give the men a little responsibility once in a while. Let them handle these jobs right on through themselves. Well, I asked Steve Paulson to come in first. A good boy, very quick. A little on the eager side, but good. Got a couple of special jobs, Steve. I want you to take one of them. Handle yourself all the way. You're the prince in production order.
Hey, good. I'd like to work on a special. Hey, I'll get on this afternoon. Thanks, Jerry.
Then Reeves came in, the other foreman. Pat's a good, steady man, a hard worker, and reliable.
Hiya, Jerry.
Hi. I just sent one of these specials down. I'd like you to handle yourself all the way through. You're the prince in production order.
I don't think I could get this out in time for you, Jerry.
Why not? You're through with that 236 order, aren't you?
Well, yeah, but...
What do you mean, well, yeah?
Well, I wouldn't like that order to go out without a check on it. Besides, there's nobody else.
Nobody else. It's a matter of McDermott or Angelo.
Well, they look kind of busy this morning. And I'm the only one that knows the job. I'd have to explain it to them. And that takes time, Jerry. Then again, there's...
Wait a minute. Don't you want to take this job?
Well...
How many times do you get to work on a special? I'm giving you a break. Paulson just took one. Okay, skip it. You don't have to do it. There's no law says you gotta do it. Forget it. Now, what do you call that? You give two guys the same identical break. One eats it up, and the other won't touch it with a 10-foot pole. Now listen to this one. This is a beaut. I'm going over the weekly production reports Friday afternoon. I can't seem to make any sense out of them. Then I finally see that the numbers on the right-hand side are all loused up. They're from the week before. It's already 3:15, and it takes a whole day to type them over again. Naturally, I'd catch hell for the delay. It was Mildred. She always does a neat, clean job. What she had to goof off for this time, I'll never know. I was sore at her, and I'll admit it. You're supposed to handle things like that privately. You know, in the office instead of raising hell out on the floor. So I asked her to come into my office so I can bawl her out alone in a nice way. And before I can even open my mouth, what do you think happens? The waterworks. Well, I like Mildred. She's a good kid. So I asked her, what's eating you? What's the matter with you? And all she does is give a little yip and run to the ladies' room. So, of course, I'm a heel. And it isn't just my people. It's the front office, too. I get to my desk yesterday morning. Right on top of everything, there's a nice big rush memo. What is it? A new batch of drawings for a job we spent 2 hours lining up the night before. Some bright boy up front. No reason, nothing. Just go ahead and change the whole damn job. So I see the boss. Say, Mac, did you see what those guys in engineering cooked up this time? Look at these drawings. The whole thing's changed around. I don't get it.
Jerry, I'm very busy right now.
But, Mac, this stuff has to go out tomorrow. I don't understand why it's been changed.
Jerry, you don't have to understand. I can't take the time now. You've got the plans, and the job has to get out.
But...
You don't have to understand. You don't have to understand.
So what could I do? I went out on the floor and just gave the foreman the new dope coal. Of course, they had a gripe about it, and naturally all my fault. Why didn't I go to bat? What the hell was I doing about it? So I told them to just go ahead and get the damn thing out. That's what you get paid for. To get tougher and tougher around that place. Treat them the same way they treat me.
Well, maybe not, Jerry. Look, this isn't a medical problem strictly, but maybe I can help.
Oh, the hell with it, Doc. I didn't mean to drag you in all this. I guess I'm pretty jumpy about the plant. I just kind of let off steam. Let's forget it. Feel like a jerk blowing up like that.
No, Jerry. You're trying to do a job down at your place, and it's on your mind. First, let me say that I don't know anything about factories, except that they're operated by people. People I do know something about. After all, they're my specialty. Not just physically either. Mentally and emotionally, too. I have to know what makes them tick. Now, this chart shows pretty much of the physical structure of a man. There's a lot more to him than just the physical. You might say there's a basic, primitive inner man in all of us.
You mean like when you're hungry, you gotta feed the inner man?
Yes, but
There are many kinds of hungers besides the hunger for food. And there's an inner man for each one.
You're not just kidding, Doc.
But the inner men that are the most important to us just now are these two. Let's look at number one first. His need or hunger is for security.
Right. I don't like to stick my neck out. I'm a quiet guy and I don't want any trouble. I like it safe and comfortable, like little kids do. There's a lot of people like me. That's why I like to be part of a group, at work and on the outside. I get attention and sympathy when I need it. I like to feel I belong, and that makes me feel important.
Participation in the activities of a group, feeling that he belongs, gives this man the security he needs. Now, this inner man is after security too, but he's got different ideas about how to get it.
You're darn right I got different ideas. I want to feel secure, but none of this group stuff for me. I want a chance to show what I can do. I don't want to feel I'm held down. I want to get out in front. That makes me feel important.
You see, they both want to feel important and secure. And they both exist in all of us, all the time, whatever we're doing. But we don't like to express these basic hungers too openly. Society doesn't approve of it. So we keep our inner men concealed inside us. However, because of these hungers, each of our two inner men is constantly trying to get the upper hand. They're always fighting inside us. Sometimes one wins out for a while, sometimes the other. It's difficult always to find out which inner man is in the driver's seat. But we must try to develop the ability to find out, because when the feeling of security is upset in a person, one or the other of his inner men becomes hurt, angry, resentful. He destroys his feeling of significance, of belonging, defends his dignity and pride. Often, we upset the security of others without realizing it. Careless word, some oversight on our part. We all tend now and then to overlook these human considerations. But if we want to get along with people, human considerations must come first. It's especially noticeable with children. They're very sensitive when their parents pay no attention to them. Oh. With grown-ups, the resentment of their inner men at being neglected takes other forms, and they tend to hide them. But they can't for long. It pops out eventually.
Yeah, that's it. My inner man's taking a kind of shellacking all over the place. And I'm trying to hide it, keep it inside. Yeah, I see what you mean, Doc.
No, you don't, stupid. You don't see it at all.
What did you say, Jerry?
Huh? Oh, nothing. I just thought I...
Jerry, I'd like you to go home and get some rest. I didn't quite finish all I wanted to say. This sort of thing takes time.
Yeah.
Suppose you drop in someday next week, and tonight, go home, relax, take it easy. Don't let anything bother you, just relax.
And everything.
Relax. Take it easy. Don't let anything bother you. Just relax.
Relax, for the love of God. How can I relax? Try and open this... Gene! Gene! Come on, open this door, will you? Come on, open this door, Gene! Take it easy, Buster. Take it easy. Come on in. What took you so long? Well, how long are you going to stand there? Give me that. Gene and Nancy are over at Mother's. Here's a note for you. Hey, come on. We're at Mother's. Back around 11, have sandwiches and beer in the refrigerator. Let's get moving. Hey, look. Would you mind telling me what this is all about? I'm a little slow in the mental department. You're telling me. Slow is hardly the word, Jughead. That's why I'm here tonight. What do you mean? Come on in here and bring that. Sit down. Make me nervous standing there. Take off your hat, your coat. Get comfortable. For the last hour or so, you've been down at Doc Bryant's, right? You remember where he was talking about the two inner men? Well, let me introduce myself. I'm your third inner man. I represent what we might call your common sense. Your plain, common horse sense. Now, like the doc said, relax. Just sit back and relax. You got a nice, comfortable home here. I don't know why the hell you can't relax in it. I don't have any trouble. Now, I think the first thing we ought to... No, let's go back. This afternoon at the docks, you didn't understand any of that stuff, did you? I didn't think you did. Well, the doc's a good guy, but he takes too long. Too many big words. Let's you and me find out a little more about this trouble you're having down at the plant. Find out what's eating you all the time. As a matter of fact, I'd like to go back over these blow-ups of yours with your men. Take a look at what actually happened, and not what you think happened. Let's run through that last one again, where they changed the drawings on you. All right, what do? You barge into the boss's office. Say, Mac, did you see what those guys in engineering cooked up this time? Look at these drawings. The whole thing's changed around. I don't get it.
Jerry, I'm very busy right now.
You want to know what's cooking, what gives, what he's got to say about it. I don't understand. And what happens?
Jerry, you don't have to understand. I can't take the time now. You've got the plans, and the job has to get out.
But you get the brush. That's right. My inner man gets a kick in the teeth. Forget about him for a minute. He's been sounding off all afternoon. What about the inner man down the line? If you hadn't been taken up with your own inner man, you'd have known they'd feel the same way you did about the changes. But what you do about it? No explanation, just get the job out. That's what you're paid for. Now, do you know why they got sore? The same reason you got sore at the boss. You didn't have to know why the drawings were changed, but you'd have liked to know, wouldn't you? You'd have liked the boss to let you in on it. Make you feel like you're part of the outfit, like he's working with you. Make you feel like you belong with the group, like the doc says, instead of a buck private. Pick that up, right about face. Forward march, get the job out. You gotta explain the score to your guys, or you make them feel like buck privates too. And they hate you for it. Now, how about Mildred? Got any ideas about that one? Well, I guess I did something wrong, but honestly, I don't know what. Well, let's go over it again. You wanted to talk to her in private, which is right, of course. Now, just what did you do? You grabbed the reports, march out of your door with a face like a moose, and clump across the floor with those cloudhoppers of yours like you were going to kick somebody's teeth out. You growl at her to come into your office right away. Not so hot for the inner woman, was it? You made her feel like a dope. Or as the doc would put it, insecure in the eyes of her group. It says in the book you should take her in your office. So you did just that. Actually, you didn't give a damn about her feelings. You were all wrapped up in your own troubles. And where did it get you? Did you get the production reports out any faster? Will Mildred knock herself out for you in the future? In a pig's eye, she will. And why should she? What about the 2 special jobs you gave your foreman?
No, you did right with Paulson. You used your bean there. His inner man is the kind that likes to stick his neck out, likes to show what he can do.
Hey, good. I'd like to work on a special.
Paulson likes you for doing that. He'll work with you now. But Pat Reeves? A different kind of a guy. Pat's careful.
Hiya, Jerry. Hi. I just sent one of these specials down. I'd like you to handle yourself all the way through. Here's the prints and production order.
He's all for security.
Time for you, Jerry.
He doesn't like to take chances. He's afraid he'll flop.
Yeah, but...
Now, part of your job is to know that. And to put it up to him so he doesn't feel that way about it. So he'll have confidence. You've got to sell him on the idea he can do it. Now, let's talk about Woody. Woody comes into your office with a problem and a suggestion what to do about it. You ask him to sit down, and he does. He tells you the whole story.
Jerry, we got to do something about that parking lot deal. The boys are pretty sore about it, and I can't blame them.
But while he's doing that,
You know what
where are you?
was out there.
Off in dreamland. You don't know what he was talking about yet, do you?
Well, what do you want to do about it, Woody? You got any ideas?
Have I got any ideas?
No wonder he got sore. You were practically insulting him. You can't fake that stuff. If you're going to listen to a guy, listen to him. In the doc's terms, what he wanted was your attention. Something was bothering him. You're his boss, so he goes to you about it. So you brushed him off. Which brings us to a big point. Who the hell are you to brush Woody off? What are you, a big shot or something? Do you think you're a better man than Woody or any of these people? Well, no, You act like it. I bet you can't pull that stuff on the outside with your friends, or your title doesn't count. Let's see if I'm right. That time you gave Woody the executive treatment, what'd you do that night after dinner? Why, I don't remember. Well, you should remember. You lost $9 playing poker right here in this house. You were sitting right in that chair. Come on, look. All right, you're getting him.
Gabbing all night.
Who dealt this mess of garbage? You, pushface? Stop the chatter. Can you open? I need a can opener to open this pipe. How about you, Jack?
Open for 3.
3. How about you?
3.
Skip me. I'm in.
Let's up it again. 3 and 3 more.
And 3 more to you.
Hey, let a guy get in on this, will you? How many's that now?
Quit whining and just toss in your dough. That's 6 more.
Okay. How many, Jack?
1 card.
1. How many do you?
I'm honest. I'll take 3.
3. And I'm taking 3. 1, 2, 3. And I'm out.
See, I've been thinking about a new convertible. Do you think Gene's old man could do anything for me on a trade-in?
Sure, I'll speak to him first thing in the morning. I'll give you a good break. It reminds me, Ed, how you coming on the garage? Kind of slow. You know, I only get to it on weekends.
Come on, Ed. Deal 'em up.
Well, how about my giving you a hand on Sunday? Hey, that'll be swell. Come out to lunch. Later, we'll take some beer and we'll go to work. Okay.
Hey, wait a minute. I got 6 cards.
Miss deal, miss
Oh,
deal.
no, look at that hand. Oh, brother of flesh. Ed, don't do that to me. I got a weak heart. Sorry it had to be you, big boy. Yeah, I'll bet. Hold a second, fellas.
Go ahead, lucky boy.
Best hand he's had all night.
Yeah.
I'll take 3.
Hiya, Bob. Say, do you suppose you could sort of knock it off a little bit? It's after 11. I got to get some sleep. I get up there.
Oh, sure. I didn't know it was that late. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
How many do you... We'll break it up.
Who knows? The guy
I'm
could
not
be
too far behind you.
Okay, guys, let's pipe down. One more hand. Gene will make some coffee and we'll call it a night.
One more hand. I got to have a chance to recoup. I've been losing my pants.
I got a good winning streak going here. Why do we have to quit now?
Yeah. That's about another half hour, Jerry. Say about 11:15.
Yeah,
Okay?
Sure, Jerry.
Hey, look, guys, look. The fellow lives right next door. It sounds like a clam bake in here. You got a recoup bill, but this guy's got to sleep. Tell you what. Will you call it square if I get Gene to throw in one of her chocolate layer cakes with the coffee?
Good
I was
enough.
saving it for my birthday, but what the hell? And Bill, I'll give you cream with your coffee. You talk to me.
Sounds okay to me.
Big deal for Bill, yeah.
All right.
You must know somebody, Bill.
I got a half hour to get well here.
What?
Well, he said.
All right. turns out when you're in your own home, you don't treat everybody like you are more important than they are. You know better than that. Looks like you can get along with people when you're not at the plant. You might once in a while even pass as a nice guy on the outside. Now, did you see a hell of a lot of difference between the guys at the plant and the guys at your house? They all look like regular Joes to me. I sure feel like a jerk. You see, the funny part of it is I liked Pat and Woody and Mildred. I always have. Got along with them fine before my promotion. I honestly don't think I'm a better man than Reeves or Paulson or anybody just because I'm over them. I'm not that kind of a guy. I guess I gave them that idea, all right. And I know why. I guess I got to thinking that everybody in the place, guys in the shop, the girls in the production office, I began to think of them like so many tools to get the work out, to make a big splash. Now you're cooking. What a guy's hungry for. The things he needs to make him happy are the same whether he's at home, in a party, or in the plant. He doesn't stick them in his locker when he checks in for work. People on the job are the same people at home. Look, with people on the job, there are two ways to go about it. You bark at them, throw the stuff at them, or you treat them like a human being. Like a customer you're trying to sell. Put it up to them so they'll want to buy it. Like a customer. That's right. I don't mean high pressure anybody. You can't order anyone to cooperate with you, but you can sell them. If you treat them the way you want to be treated. If you realize that your job as the boss is to figure out for each guy how to get him to want to cooperate with you. Well, you've been taking quite a beating today. First the doc, now me. But I think I'll be sleeping a lot better, though, from now on. There are a couple of things, though, you know, that I wonder about a little. Like what? I feel sort of funny about. I wonder how I just can't go out to the guys in the plant and say, look, I'm a changed man. I got religion. I'm not going to be the same old slob anymore. Without being corny about it. Don't talk it. Do it. Okay. Now let's you and me get together. With your face and my brains, we might make a little headway. Relax. Take it easy. But it's gonna take a little time, bub. Yeah. It's gonna take a little time. Don't talk it. Do it.
I'll get them for you right away.
How do you do? Would you tell Mr. Burton, that Mr. Hopper is here, please?
Oh, yes, Mr. Hopper. He's expecting you. I think he's on long distance now.
Well, that's quite all right. I'll wait.
Care to see the paper?
Mr. Johnson?
Thank you.
Mr. Stevens calling. Just a minute. Burton Supply Company. Shipping room? Yes, sir, I'll do that. Burton Supply Company. Well, Mr. Lux is out of town today. Mr. Whiteside will handle that matter for you. Yes, sir, I'll connect you. You're welcome. Yes, Mr. Patterson? Oh, you'll be in the stockroom? Surely, I'll transfer your calls to the stockroom all day. Burton Supply Company. Mr. Wilson? Thank you.
Mr. Burton's finished, Mr. Hopper. Go right in.
How's that?
You may go in now.
Oh, thank you. Henry! Hello.
Well, if it isn't Ted Hopper. How are things out on the coast?
Great, great. Are you ready for lunch?
Sure, Ted. As soon as I take care of one more telephone call. Should be in any time now. Here, sit down. Make yourself comfortable.
Ah, thanks.
Cigarette?
Sure.
Well, Ted, it's good to see you again.
Say, what sort of magic do you work around here?
Same old Ted, always talking in riddles. What do you mean magic? I'm no Houdini.
You must have something to lure that gal here. The one who runs your switchboard out there.
Oh, you mean Miss Tanner?
I don't know what her name is, but that girl sure knows how to handle a switchboard.
Yep, she's good, all right.
Still the master of understatement, aren't you, Henry? Yeah, she's good, all right. Where did you get her?
She's the same operator we've had all along.
Yeah?
Sounds like you've been impressed.
You know what? I think I'll kidnap her.
What for?
What for? 'Cause telephone habits in my office could stand a shot in the arm, that's what for. Well, aren't you worried about my wanting your gal?
Look, Ted, just stealing my switchboard operator won't solve your telephone problems. Or anybody else's, for that matter.
That's all. Says who?
My switchboard operator sounds good, and is good. But the rest of my organization is good, too. They're just telephone-wise.
Telephone-wise? What's the magic formula?
Look, I told you before, there's no magic at all. It's very simple. It all started several months ago, when I was very anxious to get to the office early one morning. I had an important business conference coming up. A miserable day for my car to break down. Of course, with the rain, all the taxis were taken. So, about the only thing to do was call the office.
Oh, why don't they answer?
Hello?
Well, it's about time. Get me Bill Johnson.
Who? What do you want?
I said get me Bill Johnson. Bill Johnson.
Oh, just a minute. I didn't get the name. Who'd you want?
Mr. William C. Johnson. Johnson of the accounting department. And don't take all day.
Oh, Johnson. I'll see if he's in.
What do you mean, I'll see if he's in? Don't you know? Well, is Johnson in or isn't he?
Oh, is this Mr. Burton?
Yes!
Well, yes, sir. I'll get Johnson. I'll get Mr. Johnson right away. Yes, sir.
Well, it was a struggle, but I finally got Johnson, and he took care of the arrangements for the conference. But I started thinking things over. It's funny, always when I called before, I was treated like a king. But this time, she didn't recognize my voice at first. She was pretty indifferent, disinterested. I began doing a little supposing. Supposing all telephone calls at the office, particularly customers, got kicked around. Wonder if that could have anything to do with our sales dropping off with Universal. maybe Acme didn't call back last week because... Yeah. Right then and there, I decided to look into this telephone situation. At the office, my eyes and ears got a real workout. Thoughtless telephone habits all over the place, although my employees didn't realize it. For example, customers were kept waiting forever, it seemed.
This is Miss Flower from the Burton Supply Company. I just wanted to check with you about that order.
Some garbled their conversation so much that even I couldn't understand them, let alone the customer at the other end of the line.
Go ahead with it. Now, if we don't have these two things by this afternoon, I wish you'd check back with me.
Yours of the 4th received, and subsequent orders will be shipped commensurate with existing stocks pursuant to our agreement as of the 12th, period. Heretofore, we had adhered to our strict policy as outlined in our previous letter. Hello? Hello? Guess they hung up. Well, couldn't have been very important. Now, let's see.
Well, it didn't take much looking around my office to see we had a plain case of bad telephone manners. It began to worry me. Something ought to be done. But I was no expert on telephone manners. The telephone company. Why, I must have passed this building 1,000 times. Never entered my head to go in. But why not? Maybe they could help. Got nothing to lose. What'd I mean, maybe they could help? Of course they could. They'd feel that's part of their job. I told them my story. Then I asked if I could borrow their ideas of good telephone manners. I got some booklets on telephone courtesy. And a representative from the telephone company came over to look around the office. He noticed a lot of thoughtless habits I had missed, including some of my own. And then, knowing what was wrong, I had confidence to go ahead.
So you picked up a lot of pamphlets and stuff and put one in each pay envelope as a surprise.
No, Ted, I'm serious. As soon as I knew what the trouble was, I thought the best way to convince my people of proper telephone usage and the dividends it pays was to show them. So I put on a telephone show.
And now you're in the show business. Henry Burton, the poor man's Cecil B. DeMille.
Joke all you want to, Ted, but that show got results. Held it in the stockroom. Actually, anybody could put on a show like mine with a few desks and a couple of telephones. I called in my people and started with an important point which they hadn't realized. In a business like ours, telephoning is as important as personal visits of our salesmen. Good habits please our customers. Bad habits only irritate them. Telephone courtesy not only makes work easier, it makes our customers feel welcome and impresses them that we're glad to do business with them. Let's look at it this way. The telephone is meant to work for us. Yes, that's right, work for us. The important thing is knowing how to put it to work properly. Good telephone manners aren't difficult, they're easy and natural. Let's run through a few fundamentals. First off, when you're making a call, be sure you have the right number. Now, if you're not sure, look it up in your directory or your list of frequently called numbers. Saves loss of your time, avoids wrong numbers, and prevents the possibility of disturbing someone who is not at all interested in your call. Now, when you're going to dial a number, wait for the dial tone. You're all familiar with it. It's the hum you hear in the receiver, like this. This tone is the same as the operator saying, "Number, please." It tells you the equipment is ready to handle your call. Now, if you start dialing before you hear that hum, you'll either get the wrong number or no number at all. So wait for the dial tone. It's another time saver. When it's necessary to signal the operator, do it this way, a definite rhythm. If you pump up and down impatiently like this, about the only thing you're likely to get is high blood pressure. It may sound queer, me telling you how to talk over the telephone, but it's surprising how many of us make careless mistakes. Here's what I mean. Speak clearly in a conversational tone, like this, directly into the mouthpiece. Try to avoid talking too fast, and by all means, never talk with anything in your mouth, or you'll sound as if you have a mouthful of mush. The Chelsea department store. Send me over 4 prefabricated houses right away. Well, you get the idea. It's the same with pipe, chewing gum, or cigarettes. They clutter up your speech and make you hard to be understood. And worst of all, it's very rude. Let's take an incoming call all the way through, from beginning to end. Of course, it's just common sense to be ready for a call at all times. Pad and pencil go with the telephone just as cheese goes with apple pie. If you have these handy, you won't have to hunt all over the place for something to write on when you're in the middle of a call. And by the way, it's a good habit to take notes on telephone conversations, because they'll serve as reminders for you. Now we're ready for an incoming call. Answer your telephone promptly, before the second ring if possible. If your phone rings on and on 6 or 8 times, the caller can easily get the idea that we're not interested in his call. Besides, you all know how that endless ringing of somebody else's phone disturbs you. Then answer by identifying yourself, and the office if necessary. Don't just say hello. It's old-fashioned and wastes time. Now, you all know what I mean.
Hello? Oh, hello. Who's calling? Well, what number is this? Oh, what number are you calling? Well, I'm calling your number. Oh, is that you, Myrtle? Yes, who's that, Hortense? Yes, this is Hortense. Oh, hello. Hello.
Well, you see what I mean. Now, the right way to answer your telephone is, well, you've all noticed how the Acme people handle their calls.
Credit Department, Mr. Stevens.
Mr. Andrews' office, Miss Carter speaking.
Just like that, and I know you've seen it happen many, many times. That's the quickest way to let the customer know who's answering and how to continue his conversation. But no matter whose phone you're answering, your own or anybody else's, always make your customer feel that you're interested in his call. Be obliging and polite. Then, when you're sure he's finished, bring the conversation to a definite, courteous close, like this. Yes, that's fine. Thanks for calling, Mr. Frisbee. Goodbye. A pleasant thank you, goodbye, is much better than hanging up, maybe while the other party is still talking or listening. It's just being considerate. Oh, yes, and when you hang up, put the telephone securely on its base, making sure it rests squarely on the cradle. See that there are no books or other objects in the way. You'd be surprised how these suggestions for proper telephone usage add up to make your working day more enjoyable.
Is there anything special for long-distance calls, Mr. Burton?
The same simple rules apply. However, there's one thing particularly important for out-of-town calling. If for any reason your call doesn't go through right away, stay near your telephone until it does go through.
Thank you.
If you must leave your office, let the operator know where you can be reached and when you expect to be back. Or leave a note by your telephone explaining where you are, like this. Making a habit of telling the switchboard operator where you are is a good idea, whether you expect a call or not. Then she won't have to hunt all over the place for you when you're out of your office. Now, here's a time saver. Keep information handy, so you won't irritate customers by keeping them waiting while you leave the telephone. And work yourself into a lather, hoping to find what you're looking for.
Well, that might be a good system, Mr. Burton, but I can't possibly pile 15 or 20 filing cabinets on my desk just for telephone calls.
It's quite possible you can't have everything at your fingertips, but here's how to handle a call like that. All right, Mr. Whiteside, if you'll help me out, we'll show 'em. Burton.
Whiteside of Universal calling. Could you give me the complete figures on our last year's purchases?
Be glad to, Mr. Whiteside, but that'll take a few minutes. Do you prefer to wait, or shall I call you back?
Well, I am pretty busy at the moment. Call me back, please.
As soon as I have the figures. Your number is?
Dawson, 81237.
Dawson, 81237?
Yes, thank you. Goodbye.
Goodbye. When a customer calls wanting detailed information that takes you away from the telephone, ask him if he prefers to wait or be called back. Then be sure you have his correct telephone number. It serves our customers better. Now, this next may seem far-fetched, but it's really quite a serious time and energy waster. Miss Barkley and Mrs. Carey, please. Thank you, Mr. Whiteside. That'll be all. The importance of answering your own telephone yourself is, well, see for yourself.
Yes, sir?
Get me Mr. Blackwell at Acme.
Yes, sir. Acme, give me Mr. Blackwell.
Well, who's calling? What difference does it make who's calling? Give me Mr. Blackwell.
Well, I have
to know who's calling. Mr. Burton's calling. Well, put Mr. Burton on and I'll connect you. No, you put Mr. Blackwell on first. Well, who does Mr. Burton think he is? And who does Mr. Blackwell think he is? Now, listen here, you put him on the line or I... Listen, sister, your Mr. Burton isn't so
Okay,
hot.
all right, girls. We're convinced. Thank you very, very much. So you see, it is pretty obvious that answering your own telephone in person is a good habit. And now, Miss Boyd, we're ready for you. Miss Boyd will help me show you through the irritating practice of being transferred from one office to another. Miss Boyd.
That's about it. We're going to need all those figures immediately.
You're speaking to the wrong department, ma'am.
How's that?
I said you're speaking with the wrong department. I'll transfer you to...
You mean I'll have to explain this again? The whole routine?
That's right. Mr. Williams handles things like that.
Oh, all right. Put him on.
Now, if you'll imagine it's 20 minutes later, we'll see how Miss Boyd is making out.
On to Mr. Marshall and Mr. Green. You're not the one either?
No, that's Mr. Wilbur's problem. He may be back later. Call then.
After all this mix-up, call again? Listen, I wouldn't call your place if...
Thank you, Miss Boyd. All of that heartbreaking struggle can be avoided. If you can't handle a call yourself, make sure you transfer your customer to the proper department or office, like this. I'm sorry, Mrs. Maxwell, but Mr. Johnson will handle that for you. Would you care to speak with him? I'll be glad to have your call transferred. It's just as easy as that. Just be sure your caller is transferred to the right party. It saves so much time and energy for you and the customer. Now, the most important consideration of telephoning, how your voice sounds on the other end of the line. Every time you talk on the telephone, the customer has some kind of mental picture of you. Now, if your voice personality is dull and lifeless, like this, hello, in his imagination, you'll probably look like this. And the customer will feel you just aren't interested in his call, or that you work for a business that's something close to this. One of the best ways to make a good impression on a caller is to speak with a smile in your voice. An interested voice, combined with proper telephone usage, is like offering a warm handshake over the phone. And with it, you'll appear like this to your callers. Our business, more like this. Just by a sparkle in your voice. Something like this. Accounting department, Mr. Stevens. When the show was over, the comments were interesting.
You know, the boss said a mouthful. That stuff will save a lot of wear and tear on the customers.
Yeah, and on poor little me, too.
Sounds as easy as walking.
Yeah, I know.
Yes, sir, Ted. That show got us off on the right foot.
Sounds reasonable, but did the show alone do the trick? For instance, did it change your switchboard operator into a mild sensation?
Well, that was part of it. The rest was making sure she had a chance to be a switchboard operator. How could I expect her to be a mild sensation, as you call it, with typing and filing and receptionist duties, in addition to her switchboard? The girl had too much to do. A PBX instructor from the telephone company came over to study Miss Tanner's situation. Then her work was arranged so she could devote her attention exclusively to the switchboard. Now she's a welcoming committee of one. For incoming or outgoing calls, her appeal is evident in just a few words.
Burton Supply Company. Mr. Wilson? Yes, he is. Just a moment. Burton Supply Company. The shipping room? I'll connect you right away. There you are, sir.
And by the way, a business that's telephone-wise not only treats the callers right, but makes sure the customers have its telephone address.
Well, now I've heard everything. What is this mysterious telephone address?
Nothing mysterious. The telephone number of an office is just as important as the street number. So I have it printed where it can't be missed. On our letterheads and bill forms, even on our business cards. You see, that's our telephone address.
Well, now say that looks like a good idea.
May sound like I'm making a big issue out of a little thing, but we have found that telephone courtesy is made up of a lot of little things. It's a cooperative effort by all of us in the office. That's why you won't solve your problems just by stealing my switchboard operator.
Beginning to make sense, all right.
Our organization is doing a better telephone job now because it's easier. And we enjoy it. We're working as a team.
I see what you mean, Henry, but doesn't the gang forget? I mean, well, you know, slip back into the old habits occasionally.
Sometimes they do, yes. Naturally, my show wasn't enough to cure old habits, so I just followed through with what I started. Regular checkups and suggestions. It wasn't long, though, till the simple, easy things that make up telephone courtesy, prompt attention, thoughtful consideration, effective action on our customers' calls, became second nature with us. Ah, there it is. That must be my long-distance call. Excuse me, Ted.
Sure.
Burton. Yes, I'm ready. And Ted, to help keep us from slipping back into old habits, we have this reminder in front of us all the time.
Well done, Betsy. That was a long, hard pull. Let's cool off a bit. It'll do us both good. Say, you do get a mighty fine view from this spot. See it now, you wouldn't think that a little over 100 years ago, that little city was just a scattering of log cabins and the country around here a wilderness. That's what it was. Down the courthouse yard, there's a plaque in memory of those staunch pioneers who settled here, A.D. 1835. Things must have been pretty tough back in those days. The folks who came here were a stubborn lot. They hung on in the face of want and privations, of hardships and disaster. They grubbed out farms and built homes and passed them on to their children. We live here today because our particular ancestors settled here, but you know, I've noticed that folks are pretty much the same no matter where they live. They're born, they have their share of happiness and sorrow, their hopes and fears and ambitions, their daily work to do, and finally they pass on. I often wonder what it is we want from life. What do we hope to get out of it? Why do we go on working and doing the things that we do? Well, I guess every man has ideas about that. Now there's Henry Vaughn. I remember talking to him. That is, I've started to talk to him often enough, but he's forever having to get going somewhere. Henry's one of our leading businessmen. Just about the busiest man you ever saw. He lives in a nice, comfortable home on Sycamore Street.
The question before the community today is economics.
Oh, Henry!
Sorry, dear, I've got to run. I'm due at a luncheon at the Chamber of Commerce at 12:30.
But you forgot your hat.
Huh? Oh, yeah. The question today is one of economics.
Looking for a cab, sir?
Huh? Cab? Yes, the Chamber of Commerce. Every member of this Chamber of Commerce wants to see our city grow and prosper. And believe me, gentlemen, when I say prosper, I mean prosperity for all our citizens. The assurance that the work a man performs today will give him security tomorrow. Will give him not only security, we'll give him apple pie and ice cream. All right, I got it from the menu, but I'll stick to that. We'll give him apple pie and ice cream. In other words, the dessert. The good things in life when he's through working.
The words might have come from the menu, but the thought came straight from Henry Vaughan's heart. Because I happen to know Henry wants to retire one of these days. Gosh, who doesn't? Everybody wants something different out of life. There's Tony Gerlani. He runs a shoe repair shop down on Elm Street. Tony got quite a new slant on life the other day.
Please, ma'am. Is there no word yet?
No, Mr. Galani, no word. Dr. Jackson is still in the delivery room. I'll let you know.
But if you just tell me...
I'm sorry, I can't tell you anything about it now. Dr. Jackson is still in the delivery room.
But my Rosa, they have been in there for 6 hours. 6 long hours. What has he been doing there for 6 long hours? Hey, this Dr. Jackson, he won't let my Rosa die, will he? He won't do that.
Now, Mr. Galani, everything's going to be all right. You just sit down and rest.
What do you mean, rest? I'm not tired. You see, this is Rosa's first baby, and she...
Yes? Oh, yes, Dr. Jackson.
What is it? Dr. Jackson, what's the matter?
Oh, I see. He's here now. Yes, I will, Doctor.
What did he say? What's the matter?
Dr. Jackson wants you to wait. He'll be here in a moment to tell you all about it.
All right, sure. I'll wait. Say, where did you think I'd go? Dr. Jackson. Dr. Jackson, he's...
Well, Tony, you...
No, not me, my Rosa. Is she...
She's getting along fine, Tony.
You mean she's all right?
Certainly she's all right. She's fine. Nurse, some water, quick. Here, Tony, take this. There, now, take it easy.
Please excuse me, Dr. Jackson. I guess I'm not feeling so good myself.
You'll have to try and bear up, Tony. And here comes someone to see you.
Well, what do you know about that?
It's a bambino, too.
A bambino? What do you think? A little boy just like me. Only, I tell you one thing is going to be different. Me, well, I'm not so good. All day I fix shoes, but that's not for him. This boy is going to a fine school. I'm going to work hard and save and fix my money so that this boy can have a good education, even if I die. All right? Supposing I die, what do I care? He's my boy. I'm going to take him home right now.
Oh, now, wait a minute, Tony. That's not quite the way we do things.
No?
No. And if I'm not mistaken, there's someone else who has a little claim on him, too. Maybe you'd like to see her?
Ah, my Rosa, that's right. Excuse me, Doctor. Listen, you think it's all right for me to go and take a little peek at my Rosa?
Sure, Tony. Go right on in.
Thank you.
I'm glad I'm not a man. They certainly do suffer.
And I guess if you'd ask Tony what he wants from life, he'd tell you that he wants to give that boy of his a head start on security. A head start on security. Well, that's probably what young Larry Taylor and his girl Wilma McBride are trying to get to.
8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3. Main window. 5,
Now
6.
the Davenport will go in there like that. That's about so high. Oh, then I'll have to move the piano. Well, the piano can go over here.
Don't tell me you've moved that piano again. Look, darling, over there's going to be my den.
Oh, that's lovely.
And right next to that, that's the dining room.
Uh-huh.
And right next to that and just a little behind...
Larry, how do you think red chintz curtains would look in the kitchen?
Chintz curtains? Why, I think they'd look wonderful. Come here. Now, stand right there, darling. Don't move an inch.
What's going on?
In the evening, when I come home from work, you're going to be right there. Right on that spot, waiting for me.
But, Larry,
Don't interrupt me, and I'll come through the door, and I'll run up to you. And I'll take you in my arms, and I'll kiss you.
Oh, wait a minute. You mustn't touch me.
Why, honey, what's the matter?
You big silly. I'm all covered with soot. You've got me standing right in the middle of the fireplace.
Sure enough, I have. I'm all mixed up. This excitement's too much for me, I guess. Come on, let's go. You know, I think we'll have stepping stones instead of a regular walk.
Uh-huh, and roses on each side.
That's right. And there'll be a white picket fence all around. And a little white garden gate that swings both ways.
Oh, no, there won't.
And why won't there be?
Because I happen to own this lot, and I don't like white picket fences.
Is that so? Well, listen, mister. I happen to have the deed to this lot right here in my car.
Oh, you have, eh? Now, look here, young fella. I've owned lot 14 on E Street for 15 years.
E Street? Oh, gosh. I'm sorry, mister. We kind of made a mistake. We thought we were on F Street.
It's all right, youngsters. Anybody's liable to make a mistake.
Yeah. Gosh, imagine our making a mistake like that. Well, honey, what's the matter?
Oh, I was just thinking. Wondering if we aren't making a bigger mistake. This is just something to dream about.
Oh, honey, don't feel that way. Don't let a little mistake like that upset you. Of course it's going to come true. Now, listen. We're going to build this home, and nothing's going to stop us.
I know, Larry. Dad probably said the same thing to Mother when they were planning to be married. You know, they started out just like we have, like thousands of other couples have. Only things happen. People get pushed around. Life is bigger than you are, and it can do things to you.
Yeah? Well, nothing's ever going to push us around, nothing. Sure, your mother and dad had some hard luck, but nothing like that's ever going to happen to us. To you, anyway. I'll see to that.
Wilma McBride and Larry Taylor and Tony Gerlani and Henry Vaughn and yours truly, Ed Rheme. All of us everywhere. What do we want? Millions of different things. And yet you could almost sum up those things in one word. Security. So you see, that's why my business, the life insurance business, touches the lives of just about everybody. Security is what all of us want. But some of us, for one reason or another, sort of put off doing anything about it. Now take Dr. Jackson. He's one of the finest men I know. Say, you ought to be arrested for misrepresentation.
What do you mean?
Says on your door, office hours from 2 to 4. You know it's after 11 o'clock?
No, I didn't know it was that late. Mrs. Gillespie had to have some tests done. She can't afford to have a laboratory do them. But I've just about finished. Say, what are you messing around the building for at this time of night?
Oh, I just dropped into the office to check over a couple of policies. I saw your light on.
So you thought you'd come in and talk me into taking some more insurance? Well, it won't do you a bit of good.
Well, I wish I could talk you into it, Bart. I've known you for 15 years, and the older you get, the more stubborn you get. You'll do anything to help somebody else, but try to get you to do something to help yourself, and you balk like a mule.
So I'm balky, am I? When was the last time you came in here for a physical checkup?
Oh, I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you. It was about 10 years ago. I've reasoned with you, argued, and hounded you to take care of yourself. But I might as well bump my head against a stone wall.
But there's nothing the matter with me.
No, nothing except you're killing yourself working day and night.
When I start dying, Bart, I'll come in.
Look, Ed, in case you haven't heard about it, the function of medicine has changed a little the last 100 years. Nowadays, a man goes to a doctor to keep well, not to get assistance in dying.
That's exactly what I've been trying to tell you about life insurance. One of the primary reasons for buying it nowadays is to get its benefits while you're still alive.
Don't change the subject.
Well, all right.
Let's go downstairs to the restaurant and get a piece of pie and a cup of coffee.
Now, that's just like you, stuffing yourself with rich food this time of night. Absolutely no regard for your health. You think the restaurant's still open?
Yes, we want security, but we put off getting it or we're careless about it. Maybe we think we're getting it when actually we're not. The other day there was an auction over at Mrs. Dunlap's.
Going at 60 cents once, $7.60 twice, $7.60 for the third and last time. Are you all done? And the pair of Dresden lamps are sold to Mr. Hawk. Now then, folks, if there's anything else you'd like to have me put up, anything at all, just name your pleasure. Anything at all.
Would you please put up the kitchen dishes?
Kitchen dishes? Yes, ma'am. Charlie, get the kitchen dishes.
I always thought Dave Dunlap was well fixed.
So did I,
This
but...
stuff won't bring anything. Certainly going to be hard on her.
Now about the insurance, Mrs. Dunlap. We've looked into it, but I'm afraid it's not what you expect.
There was insurance, wasn't there?
Well, yes, but Mr. Dunlap let one of his policies lapse, and, well, I'm afraid what's left just won't accomplish what he would have wanted. You see, Mrs. Dunlap, he should have reprogrammed the rest of his policies. Sometimes a helpful readjustment can be made in a case like this.
Well, I know David was a little careless about such things, but he was always so busy. If he could only have had some advice, if someone had only told him. Why didn't they?
I told Dave he was neglecting himself. I warned him he'd have to let up, take things a little easier. But if I didn't keep after him all the time, he wouldn't pay any attention to it. And I didn't have the gumption to keep after him. It was all my fault.
I wouldn't say that. We all know how Dave was. When things got a little tough for him, he dropped one policy completely. I tried to get him to let me help readjust his insurance to fit his purse and his needs, but he always figured I was only trying to sell him something. He wouldn't come to see you and wouldn't let me come in to see him. I could have saved Claire Dunlap a lot of what she's going through now. But it's pretty hard to keep after a fellow all the time, even when it's for his own good.
Ed, there are two callings whose business it is to look after a man's welfare, whether it means keeping everlastingly after him or not. Those two callings are yours and mine. Who will?
Keeping everlastingly at it. That's it, all right. And yet, as well as I know him, some folks still have me buffaloed. I say, take Fred Squires. Every time I go up to see him, I get cold feet.
Who let you in here?
Your wife.
Well, tell her to let you out again, and right now. I don't want any of your insurance scab.
Yes, but Fred...
I've been flat on my back for 6 months. And Doc Jackson says it'll be 6 months more before I'm up and around. That makes a year without a cent coming in.
But look, Fred, you're feeling better now.
I've got hospital and doctor's bills that look like the national debt. I can't meet the payments on my house. And if the stores give us any more credit, they're plain darn fools. You walk in here and tell me I'm feeling better. Now get out! Why, I'd throw you out if I had my strength.
Well, as long as you haven't, you'd better listen.
Now, see...
You've got an endowment policy, Fred, that you've had a long time. Now, I figured out a way for you to use it to get you over this jam.
So, you want me to lose that policy so you can sell me some more? Of all the heartless...
No, wait a second. Your daughter's just been married, hasn't she?
Yes, what's that got to do with it?
Well, naturally, she won't be going to college now. And you took out that endowment policy primarily to pay for her education, right?
Yeah.
Well, that policy has built up a pretty substantial loan value. And with all this expense, the thing to do is to borrow against it temporarily. The loan will pay your bills and leave enough to pay the premiums on your straight life policies until you're back at work.
So far, so good. But come on, out with it. What are you trying to sell me?
I'm not trying to sell you anything.
What? A life insurance man not trying to sell something? So you better come over here and get in bed, too. You've got brain fever.
It's been about a year since your accident, Fred, so I know you're insurable.
Now...
But after checking it over, I'd say you've got pretty nearly all the insurance you can reasonably afford.
Then what are you here for?
Because you haven't got your insurance arranged to do the things you wanted to do.
No.
No, Fred, you're like a lot of men. They simply go out and buy some insurance haphazardly without asking themselves what they want that insurance to do for them, without fitting it to their particular needs and incomes.
Whose fault's that?
Well, in your case, Fred, I guess it's been mine. I've known you for years. I know your problems and what you're up against. I should have told you what to do. But you sort of had me bluffed out.
Maybe my bark was worse than my bite.
You see, Fred, there are all kinds of good policies in the world, each one built to do a particular thing. But because each one of us has his own individual problems, the best plan is to work out a combination of policies that'll meet those problems. Now, that takes some careful figuring. I'll show you why.
What are you doing now? Cutting out paper dolls?
Nope. I'm going to cut up your income.
What? Hey, wait a minute.
That is, I'm going to call this strip of paper your income. Now, first, it has to provide family necessities. A house, food, clothing, medical aid. So we'll take that much off.
When I do quit my job, I want some income to retire on.
That's it exactly. You see, this portion is pretty small, Fred, so you can't just go out and spend it for insurance grab bag fashion. It's not going to get you the kind of security you want, unless your policies are definitely laid out to give you that security.
That'll take a lot of planning.
It'll take some mighty careful planning. Planning based on a background of general experience, plus a thorough knowledge of your own personal problems. The fellow to do that programming is a life insurance man.
So that's why you're here.
Well, if you don't want me to do it, throw me out. We'll get some agent and let him help you.
You know darn well I'm not strong enough to throw you out. Go ahead.
I see Fred quite often these days. He's back on the job and everything's okay. You know, even though a life insurance man does have to take a few hard knocks occasionally, he gets a lot of satisfaction, too. Especially when he sees the results of some of his work. I think about that every time I pass Mrs. Carroll's house.
Hi, Jimmy.
Mr. Gray, did you bring my model airplane? I sent those box tops a long time ago.
No, not yet, Jimmy, but don't worry. It'll be along soon. This is for your mother from the life insurance company.
Oh, gee. Mom always gets one of them old checks every month. And I've waited almost 2 days for my model airplane.
Morning, Mrs. Carroll.
Good morning. Gracious, is it the first of the month already? Time certainly flies.
Sure does. Before you know it, little Jimmy here will be growing up and going to college. Hey, Jimmy?
I guess so. But do you think my model airplane will be here by then?
Well, we can't be sure about that, Jimmy. But we do know he'll be going to college. Yes. He'll be going to college, all right.
That's what I mean by a life insurance man getting satisfaction out of his job. Or take Jim Braden and his wife. I remember when they left for their first winter in California.
Goodbye, Grandpa.
Goodbye, darling.
Goodbye, Grandma.
You're a good little girl.
All right.
Bye, Dad.
Goodbye, son.
Goodbye, Mother.
Robert, you look after
Oh,
yourself.
come on, Ma. I'm grown up now.
Now, Kathy, stop worrying. We've raised our family, and they're old enough to look after themselves. You and I are going on this trip to have some fun.
Of course, Mother. We'll be all right. Hello, Dr. Jackson.
Hello, well, I got here just in time, didn't I?
Well, hello there, young lady.
Now, Doc, if you're here to keep after me about that medicine you prescribed...
Jim, the medicine that's going to do you the most good right now was prescribed by Ed Rheme, your life insurance man, about 20 years ago. I'm here to say goodbye and wish you a good time, Jim. And you too, Kathy. Congratulations. Any woman who's put up with Jim Braden for 40 years deserves congratulations. Well, you better get along or you'll miss your train.
Goodbye, Doctor.
Goodbye.
So long, Doc.
So long, Jim. Have a good time, both of you.
Oh, hello, Doc.
Hey, I thought you told me you were going to take the evening off and see a picture show.
I was, but I've got a little work to attend to, so I thought I'd drop in.
Drop in, huh? You keep this sort of thing up and you'll be dropping off. You'd better think over what I've been telling you.
How about you thinking over what I've told you?
Never mind me. A man of your alleged intelligence ought to know enough to take care of himself. But I don't know. Sometimes I think what you need is a guardian.
I wish you had one. Maybe I could get him to take out some more insurance for you. Been thinking it over, Doc?
Ed, you and I are probably the two biggest chumps alive. For 15 years, we've been trying to sell each other health and security, the two things every person in the wide world wants most. So drop in tomorrow, Ed, and have a checkup, and maybe I'll even listen while you talk business.